we really talk quite a bit about mirrors and windows and the importance of children and families being able to see themselves in the books that are being presented to them by their pediatrician. Again, it helps them feel seen. And, it's so important for children and families to understand that, the world is not just one thing, right? And it provides that space for people to see, oh, there are different kind of families.
Hey everyone, welcome to Always Learning. Today I'm talking with Erin Henry, who is the interim CEO of Reach Out and Read. That's a national nonprofit that builds relationships with pediatricians and leverages the well child visits to share information and resources about the benefits of shared reading to support parents and caregivers in fostering early literacy and healthy relationships with their little ones. And they reach just about 4.6 million children every single year. Now, that was a lot of academic jargon. So, Erin, thank you for being here. And I'd love to turn it over to you now to tell us a little more about yourself and the great work you're doing at Reach Out and Read.
Sure. Thanks, Lisa. My name is Erin Henry. I am the interim CEO for Reach Out and Read. And I am also full-time the Chief Development Officer for the organization. And I've been with the organization now for, almost 8 years. And we work with pediatricians to talk to parents, to talk to caregivers about the importance of reading to your children from the time they are born. And we oftentimes will hear that people don't understand that is something that they should be doing when their babies are born because they can't look at the book, they don't understand. But it's really about having those moments with their brand new baby to just bond. And shared reading is a really good way to do that. And so that's why we are an organization that works through the pediatric well visit. And we work with 39,000 clinicians across the country. And they're a trusted voice for parents to hear from when it comes to, hey, what should I be doing to help my child be successful? And these are these very important moments that really can impact a child's life, just across the whole trajectory of their life. And so, it's a real simple model, but it's something that we believe is very, very powerful.
So this is coming right from their pediatrician, right? So they're going into and as part of their well visit exam. So the
exactly
is talking with them and they're giving them books as well.
They are.
How do they decide which books to give which families?
Yeah, so we have catalogs of books that we work with a couple of our partners on, and they're evaluated through a book committee because we do want to make sure that they are appropriate books for the age range. And so the doctors and their staff are able to go in and actually select which books from the catalog they want to have in their clinic. They know who the families are that they see every day. So they want to make sure that do we have the right languages in our library for the families that we see. So we like to make it as interactive and as personal as we possibly can. And they know then, well, here are the ones I can order for, these brand new babies. And here are the ones that, maybe a 3-year-old would like to have and that would speak really to those kids and the families that are in the clinics that they serve every single day.
So your doctor that's familiar with the community can go and look at the catalog that says these are culturally relative, culturally
exactly
serving.
Exactly. And we have
appropriate, right?
Exactly. I was just going to say we have more than 24 languages in our library. But we're always looking to expand how many families we serve. And that's just really important. And I think it's a place where that helps the families feel seen by their provider, which is so important. Is if the doctor comes in and says, here's a book, in your language, it's going to hit in a really special way.
Mm-hmm. Right. And all types of difference across all
exactly.
Exactly. That's something that a doctor sees all the time, right? So there is no type of difference that a doctor is not going to see. A doctor is going to see everyone, especially when it comes to a well visit.
Yes.
That's something that they're going to see them several times a year. especially the newborns too,
Yes.
because we're talking
Yes.
monthly visits for a long time.
Exactly.
And a
Yes.
second. And
Yes.
so this is great. So we talk about literacy all the time, and how important that is for child development and development of their academic skills, and how important it is to give them a step up in their future academic pursuits, and how important it is. Literacy is important to important predictor of their success later.
Right. Right.
Returning to the representation, we talk about that a lot at EdPost
Yeah.
too, how important that is. Why is representation across these books and in this program important for kids?
Yeah. Well, we really talk quite a bit about mirrors and windows and the importance of children and families being able to see themselves in the books that are being presented to them by their pediatrician. Again, it helps them feel seen, and it's so important for children and families to understand that the world is not just one thing, right? And it provides that space for people to see, oh, there are different kind of families, right? I often, I go back to make it personal. I'm part of a 2-mom family. My daughter is nearly 20. She'll be 20 next month. And we talk about, from my perspective, from our perspective, how, and our pediatrician did not have Reach Out and Read when she was little. They do now, but it was too late for us. But we talk about how seen it would have made us feel as a family if they had walked into a visit with, here's a book about, a 2-mom family, and how it would help us feel seen and help her feel seen. So it's really important from that perspective. And then, it's interesting. She and I have been having some conversations about this lately. And, she said that for her as a child, where it would have been helpful is for other children to see families. So it wasn't about the mirror for her. It was about the window for her, because she felt herself having to explain her family to different people, to her, the kids in her class who would ask questions and all of that. And if it had been introduced through a children's book, which is so simple, that then she's not answering those questions and having to navigate that in, whatever, first, second, third grade. So
that makes complete sense, because for her that was normal. That was
yes,
every day,
yes,
and that was how she lived. So it wasn't odd or strange to her.
right, right.
She just then had to be, she had to kind of be the evangelist to all
exactly,
and tell them how, yes, this is our normal. This is what
right,
it's like your house, but
right,
it's a little different.
right.
What an uncomfortable position to put children in.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's something that, we were fortunate, I suppose, in that she was in a Montessori environment, and there were other families, right, that looked like ours there. But it still put her in that position of feeling like she had to explain it. And it's sort of like, well, this is just my family. And if people could understand that families look different, right? It's a grandma. It's a single dad. It's 2 dads, 2 moms. It's a mom and a dad. There are so many different varieties. And to just have that understanding is huge.
You look 20 years ago, people still, it was even less understanding than there is today.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think,
absolutely.
I don't recall ever getting met with books at the pediatrician when I was bringing up my daughter. She has 2 boys now. And I know for me personally, I like to give people books at their baby showers, and I show up with the books that no one else will get. So I'm like, I show up with like the Anti-Racist Baby, and When Tango Makes Three, and like all the books that you'll find on the banned list.
Yes, yes, yes.
Things. My grandson started reading Rebel Girls, and they have board books of women figures throughout history.
Yes.
So they know they know who Josephine Baker is, and they know who Hillary Clinton is, and Frida Kahlo is. And it's funny, one of my grandsons loved Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He has a little doll, and he looks for her calendar on the wall and just loved her. No particular reason, just because he read about her.
Yeah. Yes. And exposure. Right? Yes.
Right. Sally Ride, he would talk about Sally Ride, but what other little boys are being exposed?
Right.
Girls at such a young age.
Exactly.
Books for little girls, not little boys. So it thrills me that he's been exposed and his little brother's been exposed to these girl figures early on before
Hmm.
they were exposed to boys.
Yeah.
And that was just normal for them. So, a lot of times the narrative is written by those who, like, the narrative is controlled by those in power,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
representation removes that,
Hmm.
and
It
it's
does.
powerful, for
Yeah,
the kids. So yeah.
absolutely.
So part of what I want to talk about today is there was a decision in Maryland for Maryland schools. Supreme Court comes down with a decision that says that Maryland parents can now opt their children out of any lessons
Yeah.
that have LGBTQ plus themes.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts around this, and how does that impact your work?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see, I think, from a number of different perspectives. I think about um, the kids who may have seen themselves in that book, right? And the visibility piece that matters, right? So I worry about what does that turn into? How does that child start to question their value, right? So I think that's very real. I think it impacts, again, just families that look different. Maybe the two mom or the two dad family. Are their children going to be turned away or questioned in their classroom space, and really alienated? And I think the work that we do every day and the books that we put in the hands of children that we through pediatricians and that children have access to, I mean, it's about humanity, right? I mean, it's about, helping children to develop empathy and understanding of the world around them. And so a decision like that is so harmful. It's long-term harm, to those children, to the families in their community, and then long-term. And it's hard to see that, um, my wife and I were couple number 117 to get our marriage license in Cambridge, Massachusetts when it became legal. And it's hard to think that 20 plus years later, we're still having the same conversation, right? Of trying to justify our existence and the value, and you just feel like you make so much progress, and then there are these steps backwards. And it just, I think it's heart wrenching to think about, and I do primarily worry about the kids who maybe they do see themselves in Julian at the wedding, and them feeling, we worry about them feeling shamed because of decisions that are being made by these powerful houses and by the Supreme Court. It's deeply concerning.
Hmm. You also have to think about all of the contributions that
Yes.
LGBTQ plus people have made, and the cultural lapses there'll be for them,
Yes.
whether it be works of art or writing or
Exactly.
history that they might be missing
Yes.
because of all of those contributions that they may have to now step out of because their parents are shielding them from
Right.
an important piece of what
Right.
is American culture,
Right.
because of someone's
Right.
lifestyle,
Right.
uh,
Right.
and who a person is, like part of the humanity that is the American culture.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
part of what they should be learning in school too.
Exactly.
I wondered
Exactly.
if I could take us off the track for a minute and out of the box, and get your opinion on this, because part of the justification for allowing students to step out of the classroom for these lessons, whether it be a theme or a character that's LGBTQ plus, is religious objection. That's
Mm-hmm.
where they went for their justification. However, there are 3 states in the United States right now that have passed laws, and these cases have not come before the court yet, but they're due to. Texas was the last one. Louisiana is another. Maybe Alabama is the third. That are insisting that the Ten Commandments be on display in all schools. Now, if the law is that the Ten Commandments are on display in all schools, I can't opt out of that for my kid,
Right.
and
Right.
not everyone is Christian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how did to both of these situations now compare for you, and where do you think the court will go?
Gosh, it's such a good question. I, I think today, I think I would have had a different answer for you a couple of months ago on where, or 6 months ago on where the court would go, right? I think things we're in a different space right now. And I do worry that it will be, the reality is if it is approved, then everyone has to be in the classroom for that, right? While people are able to opt out of something that is felt, for lack of a better word, woke, right? And so it doesn't give that same space to both sides of the coin, if you will. And I think that's, deeply, deeply concerning.
Mm-hmm. And I think in violation of some very well-defined precedent
Yes.
of the court.
Yes. 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 Absolutely.
And I talked to you about like my favorite class being my Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we dug very deep into some of those tests for religious objections. And it's been one of the most tested, the separation of church and
Mm-hmm.
state. And
Mm-hmm.
when religious freedom versus, being forced to practice a religion
Right.
versus, it's come up time and time again
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
United States court history, and
Yes.
they've been very serious
Yep.
about this particular piece of Supreme Court precedent. And we can only hope that they stay serious about
I
it.
hope it stays,
But I would also say that I just can't imagine after seeing what they've done in Maryland. I
Mm-hmm.
expect that the court will find that what they've done in those three states is fine,
Mm-hmm.
and
I agree. Yeah.
I expect that will be what the outcome will be,
Yes.
as hypocritical as it is.
Yes.
And
Yes. These are
you know,
unprecedented times. I mean, that's the reality, right? I think it feels
sure.
overused these days, but in every situation, it's like, that what? Like there are no rules, there are no checks and balances, right? And we're just losing ourselves as a society because of it.
I often ask, how did I get in this timeline?
Right. Right. We often talk about we did put together a strategic plan a year ago, and in that strategic plan was this goal to be serving 50% of all children 5 and under by 2030. And when we take a step back and we look at that right now, it's like, man, that was we did that in a different timeline. And there are so many additional threats that we're facing. And for us as an organization, we work through the medical system, who is really under threat right now. And so I think it's something that, it impacts us on so many different levels.
Mm-hmm. And even, trying to fund an organization that
Yes.
is I was reading some of your strategic plan and trying to find
Mm-hmm.
an organization
Mm-hmm.
that's about equity and
Yes.
inclusivity
Yes.
and culturally appropriate reading and
Right.
inclusivity, like those
Yes.
type of things, is getting harder and harder every single day.
It is. It is. And it's something that, I mean, this is a place that this is who we are as an organization. We serve all sorts of families, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to say, hey, we're not going to have books that don't reach all the different families. The pediatricians they know their families. They know, what books are going to resonate and that are then going to create these powerful moments in these homes between, parents and child, or caregiver and child, and to let this timeline dictate a shift away from that is something that we're just not willing to do as an organization.
And for a group of people who talk so often about caring for children,
Mm-hmm.
all right, they need to let the pediatricians who know
Yes.
the families
Yes.
talk about what's best for those kids.
Yes.
Right. So
Exactly.
we're going to protect the children
Exactly.
and we're going to raise up these kids the right
Yes.
way.
Exactly.
Then care about the children and let those bonds form and let
Right.
do what they need to.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
on the same token, we talked about this timeline. A lot of times the kind of books that have LGBTQ characters, or that are inclusive, or have, people who aren't white in them. they'll be called porn or something else by
Mm-hmm.
some folks out there,
Yes.
like
Mm-hmm.
targeted for banning. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask you, what kind of books are on your lists that you share with families?
Mm-hmm.
Out because I'm sure they're not what the book banners would call them.
Right. No, I mean, we do have books like, and we can follow up with a list for you. But Julian's Mermaid, we have that book on our list. We have, Tango is on our list. We have many books that just represent all sorts of families. And I actually could pull up a list right now just quickly. I think I don't have one here that is our existing list, but we could follow up with that so that you could share it after.
Great. I did look at your summer reading list earlier today and looked at some of the board books that were on
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
and really cute and themed just perfectly for the season.
right.
The Hungry Caterpillar is something
It's a
about
classic.
the caterpillars for summer or something like that, and it was really cute. And that's another thing. Like people look for books that are talking about the time that they're in. When I look for books for my grandsons, I look for them for Easter time or Christmas time, or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
into the time that they. If
Yep,
I'm not looking for a particular subject, I'm
yep,
looking for the time of year because they're
yep,
into that.
yep. Exactly, exactly.
Because
Yeah,
people
yeah.
start great, or soon people will be looking for a list for back to school,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes,
school,
yes,
those
yes,
sort of
yes.
things. But
Yeah.
the type of books that people are often really concerned about
Mm-hmm.
and banning, there's no reason to ban them
Right,
at all.
right.
There's no reason to be
There's no
concerned with
reason.
books
Right.
just because they're dealing with difference, degrees of
Yeah,
difference, or a
exactly.
spectrum of difference. But that's good. That's good for
Yeah,
kids.
yeah, exactly.
How do you think um, books, I mean, we've talked a lot about different ways that they help children, but
Yeah.
specifically, how do you think dealing with inclusive books or books that are representative of all kinds of kids help kids with their SEL education and
Mm-hmm.
emotional development?
Yeah, yeah. So we talk a lot about reach out and read as it's we talk a lot about early relational health at Reach Out and Read, and that is really working to build those relationships and those bonds that can help children be resilient. It is having those bonding moments with their parents in their mom or in their dad's lap, and just that strengthens the bond. It makes them feel safe and secure. And that's another way that Reach Out and Really Read can contribute to just a healthier society. It's that we're helping to create moments where children feel safe and they feel seen. And it's a healthy place for a parent to be, understanding, oh, I'm having this really incredible impact on my child's development by just pulling them into my lap and pulling this book in front of us and flipping through it together and having those conversations with each other. And that can start at such an early time is something that really, again, I said it earlier, people underestimate the power of shared moments through
Hmm.
reading. And it is the antidote for so many things, right?
Nothing cooler than the
Yeah.
little one bringing you a book and crawling
Yes.
up and snuggling
Yes.
in. And
Yes.
it doesn't have to be reading, right?
No.
It
Exactly.
does not have to understand the words. They
Exactly.
get pictures. And
Exactly.
so the first couple of, until they figure out how to read a little bit, or at least to pay attention to you while you read, they can make up their own stuff. They can look at
Yes.
the pictures,
Yes.
things,
Exactly.
turn when they're ready.
Yes.
And then they might understand you for a little bit when you read and know when to turn the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
a little one now who he isn't even in school yet, and he can read, and he's starting to read. So it amazes me that he can read words. I don't know how it happens, but I'm like, wow, he's reading,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm amazed every time, and he can
Yeah.
read.
Yeah.
So as you're sitting there, just let them do their own thing
Exactly.
and just go with it.
Yes, exactly. It's the shared moment around, and for us, it is around the book, right? But it is about, open the book, point to the pictures, have the conversation. It's a piece of the puzzle, right? I think, and it's a really,
Characters,
yes,
ask
exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I think even, when I think back, if I were in my house, you would see, several children's books behind me, but I'm staying with my parents right now. And, my mom was reading something out loud the other day. And it took me back to her reading to me as a child, hearing her voice when I'm 5 years old. And it's interesting how powerful, I am, decades past that, and it's imprinted on me, right? It just takes me right back, and it's that immediate, oh, I'm safe, I'm loved.
Right. Right. There's something about it that just makes you feel just hugged, and
Yes.
and it's like warm. It's like a holiday almost.
Exactly. Yes.
But while you're doing, remember, like your brain is growing because you're
Yes.
learning language.
Yep.
You're seeing words. You're learning language. You're hearing people use language in context.
Yes.
You might be learning it through a child's book, but this is going to stay with you, and
Right.
you're going to want to learn it. I know when I
Right.
was a kid, when I saw words, I couldn't wait to learn how to write because
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
words, and I
Yes.
was so impatient. I wanted to learn how to write words. Um, and then when I learned how to write regular words, I wanted to learn how to write them in cursive after that. Like I was so
Mm-hmm.
impatient. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to learn. And so reading for me it just kept accelerating. And I wanted to learn more and more and more. So
Right.
it really just starts you off on this
It does.
journey. Uh,
Yes.
and
Yes.
your imagination too, I think, where
Yeah.
you start to really think, as a reader today, I feel like, and I don't know how many, I imagine everybody does it, but I know sometimes people don't, but I create this vivid imagery in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe starts when you're a kid,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
super important
Yeah.
to do these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And for so many of the kids, that we serve, the books that they get through Reach Out and Read are the only books in their home. And so it plays such a critically important role for, if you have to choose between, food and shelter, you have to choose, food, shelter over the book. And so this is a way that we can build libraries, and so they can create these worlds and these moments with their parents. And for us, that just feels like such a powerful um, responsibility, right? And it's one of the reasons that, we do have this ambitious plan to, we'd love to be in every well child visit across the country, right? So that every child is building a library, so that every child is in a home where they understand that even if you're 2 days old, um, these moments matter, and
That's
they
so
can impact the brain development and your long-term health. And, that's just something that folks don't understand yet. And, that's what Reach Out and Read has been doing for 36 years now. So,
so important, so important. We forget sometimes that not everybody has access to
yes,
the reading materials, and
exactly.
it's super important. And well visits are a perfect place.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
for Reach Out and Read, is there any other group that you intend to link up with, or will you stick with Pediatricians for now?
We will stick with pediatricians, but also we do work with a lot of family practitioners. So those are our two primary folks that we work with. And then we also do have nurse practitioners that will deliver our model and all of that. So it always is through that healthcare system, though.
Nice. So, we started talking about the LGBTQ uh, books or inclusive
Yeah.
books. What would you say to parents um, who are a little troubled by their child, or a little unsure by their child receiving inclusive books, that, whether it's LGBTQ plus
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
stories or other characters that, they're just not sure. What would
Yeah.
you say to those parents about those materials, if they're, teetering on the edge and just not,
Yeah.
especially in this climate where they're just not sure about letting their
Yeah. Yeah.
children engage with those books?
Yeah. I think, the conversation ends up having to be about, everyone wants the best for their children, right? And so how do we help them see that this might help their child feel seen, or this might help their child be a better friend, a kind person, and really develop that empathy for people in their community. And just, to, again, you want folks to be open-minded, right? We're all in this for the good of. And so encouraging families to just see, hey, this is not, it's not an agenda, right? It's just about, wow, look at this cool book, right? That has this cool kid in it that's doing something different, right? Like that is just a moment that you share, and you have then created more space for empathy and humanity in your child. And you hope that that is what people want, for their children and for the world that they're raising them in. And so really just encouraging folks to be open-minded, because that's, I think that's how we fix things moving forward.
Absolutely. Do you have any favorites?
Well, my very favorite book about two moms is called In Our Mother's House by Patricia Polacco. And, it is one of those books that came along into our home when our child was a little bit older. And she hates it when we read it because we just sob the whole time, because it's about, this family that grows together and these children that come into the family, and then it follows the aging parents, and you can see where it goes. But it's like, it's just, this is how it is. That's our reality, right? We're not special and unique. This is just life, and you're living life with your family. And so she hates it. Well, like, I'll pull it out and read it still sometimes. We got a couple of copies of it, and it makes us emotional. And she's like, oh, come on. But that for me is something that's really special to have. Books like that where you just feel like, hey, you know what? That's who we are, right? Like, our life is not an agenda. We're just showing up to do good in the world and raise a good human who will, it will be the very best of us.
Right.
Just like everybody else, right? Like that's just like everybody else.
Great. So how many kiddos would you say are being reached by the Reach Out and Read program?
Yeah. So right now we are serving 4.6 million children every year.
Wow.
So pretty extensive reach, but nowhere near where we want to be. There are 20 million children 5 and under. And so we have a long way to go. And we just feel that this work is so important that it should be everywhere.
Now, if I want to find out if my grandson's pediatrician is participating, or if I want them to, how do I figure this out?
Yeah. So you would go to our website, reachoutandread.org, and you can find a list of all the sites, the 6,500 sites that we have right now that are delivering Reach Out and Read. So you'll be able to see if their pediatrician is one of our providers.
And you're in all 50 states?
We are in all 50 states. Yes, we are. Wonderful. Yes, we are.
Wonderful. So, yeah. So, I mean, I'm in a little bit of a rural part of Pennsylvania, so maybe not, but it wouldn't hurt to check.
Absolutely. And hey, we are in the process of launching a statewide Pennsylvania affiliate, so that we are ensuring that we're reaching every community in Pennsylvania. So that's on the docket as we speak.
That is good to know.
Yes.
I live in one of those places that is, we're like the last to get reached by things.
Got it.
It's a strange place, but it's that's good to know. That's a good little nugget for Pennsylvania there. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share with us about your work?
Yeah, I mean, I think one story I would just want to share. I have a good friend who's in her late 70s, and she read an article that I had written, and we posted on our website about the importance of what we're talking about today, and about representation. And she has a grandson who's in his late 20s, I think, and he's gay. And her reading the article, even though she's been around us for forever and ever, and is probably one of our biggest champions, used to go to our daughter's grandparents and special friends day. So she's been that involved in our family, but that article made her think differently. And she started to think about her potential future grandchildren. And so she reached out to me for what are some book suggestions? Are there lists you could send me so that I can start building a library for my potential future grandchildren should they come along. And she understood it, and she was able to go to her grandson, who, it was a very special moment for them because he felt seen in a different way. I get emotional. And I just think even the people who are on your side don't understand the value. And to have that opportunity to share is important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's that's really powerful because even even those so close to us, and
Exactly. Yeah.
even for me today, talking, just taking a step back and thinking about what your daughter had been going through, and what all of the children
Yes.
of,
Yes.
of families that look different and are different, and the time they spend explaining
Mm-hmm.
other,
Mm-hmm.
other
Yep.
children of,
Yep.
of of what's been deemed a normal family.
Right.
Um,
Right.
explain to children who aren't exposed to
Yes.
other families,
Yes. Right.
the time they spend explaining
Right.
what is normal and natural for
Yeah.
them. That from our conversation today, that's what
Yeah.
hit me pretty hard. And like,
Yeah.
that
It,
that's rough. That's
it
rough.
was eye opening. It was an eye opening conversation because I talked to her about it and thinking, wouldn't it have made you feel good to be seen by the pediatrician? And she's like, no, I wish that the other children would have learned about our family so that I didn't have to do all the explaining. And it's like, man, that was a really powerful moment that will sit with me now for a very long time of her perspective. And, she was raised in a, you know, very liberal state of Massachusetts and all the things and all that, but it didn't matter because parents still weren't talking to their kids about it.
I think for me, from like this point moving on, that's the most important reason to have
Yes,
the other children
the
uh,
windows.
have those windows, have
Yeah,
the LGBTQ plus stories and
yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Um, for the children who are out there doing very adult things before they should have to.
Right,
They
right,
should,
exactly.
these other children should just understand, and if they're exposed, they would.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And they wouldn't even second guess it, right?
right,
That it just is, right? We just are. We're
right.
just people that are showing up, who love each other and are trying to do good in the
Mm-hmm.
world,
Just
right?
a,
And to sort of demystify that, right?
right. Just a
Um,
family.
we're
That's
just
it.
a family, right? We have go through the same things everyone else does, right? The same parenting struggles, the same everything, right? Like we're just a family like yours. Yeah.
Right. So, well, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for talking with me today and sharing Reach Out and Read with us. And I look forward to seeing what you continue to do, and also checking to see where you are in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. We'll stay on touch on that for sure. Well, thanks, Lisa. This was really wonderful. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And if all of you out there enjoyed this conversation, please do like and subscribe and share with all your friends. And we'll drop a link as soon as this publishes in the comments for you to find those book lists and more information on Reach Out and Read. Thanks, everyone.